Hello guys and welcome to a new sound design episode. Today we are going to be learning how to create this sound. Alright, so if you guys don't recognize the sound or you haven't read the damn title, it is an acid type of sound inspired by Dyro Wolv and the Black Mass lead from Diablo. So today we are going to be learning how to create this type of sound. There won't be a free download for this episode just because this sound is one from my new sound bank that I am going to be releasing soon called Sylenth1 Revolution if you haven't heard about it. This one's coming out on my own label, so it's not coming under Shockwave, so this will be available for purchase on the website I have. And it's going to be the first bank I release under my name, and there's going to be more to come. So if you guys want this lead now, you guys can learn how to make it, and if you don't want to make it, then you can always purchase the bank later, or you can just do whatever the hell you do to get them. Let's get straight into it. Today we're going to be learning how to create these acid type sounds which I haven't really touched on in any of the 60 episodes that I've made, to be honest. So today is going to be the first. So the way we're going to achieve the sound is going to be very simple, and it's really not that hard. It just takes a little bit of programming to achieve it. And we are going to be utilizing the Bandpass Filter, which is really taking over EDM or big room commercial type of stuff recently, in the sounds that have been created for, you know, these new tracks by Spinning, Revealed, and so forth. All right, so and also A1, what we're going to have is going to be a saw, which is the most overused wavetable or wave that known to man, and it's used for a main reason. It just sounds good. So we're going to use two voices. We're going to leave the retrig on because we want our face to start over again. Turning the retrig off will make the face keep going. In essence, what's going to happen is your sound's going to kind of spread out a bit more too, and it's not going to hit as hard as it should, so we leave the retrig on for that reason. Our octave is down 1. And then we're going to add a little bit of detunement at 2.14. We're going to leave this at full stereo, and pretty much we're done here. We're going to go into an amp envelope A, where our attack, decay, and sustain and release are going to be altered. And as always, I've explained this in the past 60 episodes a lot, but just to review, our attack decides how fast the sound comes out. So we're going to have that at a value of 0.05, which should be set like that by default. We have no decay, and our decay decides how fast our attack, once it reaches max value, goes down to our sustain level. So if our decay is at 0, our attack instantly goes into a sustain phase. In our sustain phase, we have pretty much the value that is going to be set. So in essence, the volume. And this is going to decide at what volume it's going to stay at when you're sustaining the note. So pretty much when you're pressing down on a key. Then we have our release, which decides how long the sound sticks around after you let go of your key before it goes back to a value of 0, and that's not taking into consideration any reverb or delay. All right, so now we go into oscillator A2, where we have a sine wave with 3 voices. Retrig is on that. Sine wave is going to be used, but it's not going to be used as a sub because we are applying a clip distortion, and you know what happens when you apply clip distortion to sine waves. Any type of overdrive or foldback will turn the sine wave into a dirtier sound because it's going to add harmonics to it. So our volume for this one is set down a bit. Let's just boost that up, to be honest. No need to have it like that. We have no phase, no detunement for this, but we are going to turn the stereo down because we kind of want to layer the sound. So we have on our outer sides, we have our saw, and then in our inner mono, we have our sine wave. Retrig is on this as well, down an octave, and we should be done here. Filter A, we're going to be utilizing a band pass, which is pretty much a very, like, I like to call it a low pass and a high pass put together, because they the band pass kind of reduces in the lows and in the highs at the same time while focusing on just one frequency. And the best way to show it would just to put an auto filter and show you the band pass like this. You can see that the very top, think of it as a mountain. At the very top of the mountain, that's a frequency that's getting pretty much, you know, focused on, while everything else gets kind of, you know, reduced. And it has its own characteristics, as you can see. But this kind of slope that you get from it, both sides getting reduced, gives you a very, very sharp sound, and that's why it's very used right now in big room house. So pretty much what we have here is a bandpass, input select A only. We're not utilizing side B. 24 dB type. Our cutoff is going to be set to 213.66 hertz, or you can have it in the center at 12 will make a big difference. Our resonance is down at 0.10. We're going to be altering it through our filter control. In our main filter control, we have the cutoff set down to 0.10, and this is going to be the key to making that acid type of sound. Our resonance is set high to 3.81, and we have no key track and no warn drive. So the key to making this sound is right now, if I had my envelopes turned off, you wouldn't really be able to hear the sound. But once you turn the envelopes on, then what's happening is the envelopes is telling the cutoff to open up, while at the same time our resonance is opening up as well. So this is increasing. So that same motion with the cutoff and the resonance is going to give us that acid type of sound that you want. So in mod envelope 1, we have our cutoff A, we have our decay set to 5, and our release set to 3.33. And our black knob, which is this one, is going to set the value at which this occurs at 4.29. In mod envelope 2, we have another routed to cutoff A. This one's going to be routed back at negative 0.48. And we're going to have our resonance be routed up to 2.86. So here you go, reso A and cutoff A, which is routed to this part here. Finally, our decay value is set to 6.15, and our release is set to 2.82. So this is going to be pretty much the main portion of the technique. But we are missing one more crucial element, and that's going to be our LFO1, where we're going to route it to cutoff A. We're going to open it all the way up, and we're going to set this at a rate of 1 to 1D. And then our gain is set to 2.81. So what this is going to do is it's going to make sure the filter is open. And since this acid type of sounds aren't really sustained, because you kind of want to play them fast to get that effect, this is going to allow the sound to be more open and sound a little bit more brighter. All right, so now we're going to go into our effects section to finish the sound up. We're going to go into our distortion, where we have a clip distortion all the way up, amount, and dry and wet as well. This always just tends to work a lot well with sines and saws put together. So if you ever have, you want to build a sound, a good term or a good place to start if you're creating a bass is to, have a saw and a sine and distort them all the way. Create some unique stuff. Next thing we're going to do is apply a phase at 16.19%. Our LFO rate for it is set to A1D, no LFO gain, no feedback to it. The width that you're going to hear the phase at is going to be at 100%, so it's going to be more towards your sides. The offset on it is set to negative 1.81, our spread to 3.62, and our center frequency set straight up at 12. Next, we go into our EQ, where we're going to have a one-pole EQ. And there's two different types of EQs in Sylenth1. There's a one-pole or a two-pole. I call the two-pole more like a filter, to be honest. So the one-pole is the one you want to use if you want to boost certain things. The moment you turn on your EQ, you're going to have a one-pole, and it's going to be boosting. So if this is going to be turned on, you're going to have 7.5 dB boost at the frequencies of 112 and 2564. So we're going to change that. Our EQ control, we're going to increase it a little bit more. We're going to put our bass down actually to just a 3 dB boost there. So don't get confused. If you're lowering the knob, doesn't mean you're reducing. It just means you're unboosting what you had boosted once you turned it on. So our frequency is set to 12 o'clock there, but we're going to move it a tad bit to around 200, 224 for me right now. Our EQ treble boost is at 10.29 dB, and we're going to do that at 2564. Once we have that, we're going to apply some reverb. Our dry and wet is set to pretty much 12 o'clock. No pre-delay, no dampness. A little bit of dampness, actually, so 0.38. Width all the way up. And our size is set to 1.98. The higher the size, the more decay you're going to get, and the more noticeable your reverb is going to be, obviously. And finally, we're going to compress the sound. Our ratio is set to 3.88 to 1, which means for every 3.88 dB that goes over the threshold, it gets reduced to 1. Our threshold is set to 12 o'clock. Our attack is at 15.10 milliseconds, and our release is at 150.70 milliseconds. So finally, once we have that, the last thing we're going to do is boost mix A a bit, boost the main volume so we can get that sound coming out hard. We're going to put mono legato on, which is going to allow us to play only one note at a time, but this is going to allow us to get that sliding effect that a lot of big room house tracks have, or electro house, you could say. Our portamento set to 5.43, and we're pretty much going to be done with the sound. So once we have all this, your sound should be coming out like this. So it's a very cool sound, and as always, guys, This one's not going to be available for download. It's coming out in my new sound bank that's going to be released soon. I'm actually finishing up the final sounds. I believe there are like about 20 sounds left, and I'm thinking of what to kind of lean more towards. All right, guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Hopefully you guys follow along and understood what went on, and I'll see you guys next time.